Let me ask you, Marc Lotter, about immigration continues to drive the conversation on Capitol Hill. The House GOP getting ready to vote on a compromise bill today. And meanwhile, a federal judge has ordered the Border Patrol to stop separating families at the southern border. How is this issue going to affect Republicans in the midterms?
I think ultimately it's going to have to be one of the dominating issues of the midterm, because it does not look like right now that they're going to pass that bill out of the House. And even if they're able to, it's not going to go anywhere in the Senate. And so I think immigration will be front and center in the midterm elections. A federal judge ordering the federal government to do what it's already doing is just kind of like a dog and pony show. And I would point out, too, this is something very kind of went under the radar yesterday in the Supreme Court ruling, but read Justice Thomas's concurrence. He sent a very stern warning to federal judges about making national law, and it's something that the Supreme Court may have to look at in the future if they don't stop doing it.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting because the administration already said, the president came out and said we're not going to separate families, and then you have the judge as if the president didn't just say that.
I'm not sure exactly what they want us to do. Obviously, we're working as quickly as they can in the administration to not only separate, but also to reunite.
Right.
But I think there's the Republicans in Congress here, if they don't come together and pass an immigration bill, they're going to look again like a deer in the headlights. I think what really happened is health care is the #1 issue. Republicans couldn't figure out what to do on it. Immigration now has moved up to a big issue. Republicans couldn't figure out what to do with it. This election may not actually be about ideology. It will be about action. President Trump at least seems to know what he wants to do. The Republicans can't figure that out. They're leaderless, and that is the big problem that they've got.
Based on your polling, the Harris poll, what do you see in terms of immigration being an issue for the midterms?
Well, 88%, of course, say they do not think that parents and children should have been separated. But about 70% want stronger enforcement of immigration laws. They basically do not like sanctuary cities. They do want borders, and they reject open borders. So really, when you think about it, America doesn't really want an open border situation, and they don't think people should just come into the country and be released.
Yeah.
But they also are very compassionate for those people who are here.
And
this
that's
kind
a
of
problem
compromise
for Democrats
has
who
to
want
happen.
that.
Go ahead, Marc Lotter. What?
And that's a problem. Those numbers that Mark just mentioned are a problem for many Democrats who are campaigning on doing exactly that, abolishing immigration, open borders, and it's just not something that meshes with what the American people want.
Mark, let me ask you, the administration had breaking news this morning that you're going to focus more on CFIUS, strengthen the CFIUS process, as opposed to coming out with new investment restrictions against China. So what is the plan to stop China from stealing IP from the U.S. and forcing the transfer of technology?
I think using the CFIUS process is a good step. It also shows that I think what we're seeing is that negotiations are continuing behind the scenes, and that as opposed to taking the very strong step, which is still out there for the president if the negotiations don't go well. But I think this is an interim step. It's something that will help protect our IP technology and our companies. But it also shows that I think we've got China negotiating to try to turn down this rhetoric behind the scenes, and that's a good sign.
Well, why is it going to get China to change behavior when we had CFIUS in place before this? So what's different? How will you strengthen CFIUS?
Well, I think that will be something that we'll work with the Congress to do. And I'm not an expert in that area, but I'll tell you that this is a good step. And I think China knows that they have got to stop doing this, and the president's going to be very strong on that. So I think this is a good part-way step to say we're going to continue working behind the scenes on this, but I still have those very tough sanctions and restrictions in my pocket ready to go if China does not come to the table and continue working on it.
Markets have completely reversed course on this news this morning. By the way, you recently wrote an op-ed about the red hen, telling Sarah Sanders to leave.
I did. Let me first say, by the way, backing China away from what they're doing with technology has the 100% support of the public. So it's interesting the president's pulling back from that. But yes, I absolutely think that when you go back to the Federalist Papers, what the framers of the Constitution were most concerned about was faction, and that, in fact, the natural human tendency is to divide up and be against each other, and the Constitution is about bringing us back together. And incidents like this, I think, really require legislation so that the First Amendment is at the workplace, and also anyone can eat anywhere without discrimination.
You would think, right? All right, Mark Penn, Marc Lotter, good to see you both. Thank you so much, gentlemen.